Okay, I mentioned in the introductory video that I was going to do a follow-up where I talked about some of the other concepts I was asking people about in the week 3 discussion. And that's, again, several times I asked people if you thought there was something more, another level of thinking that went beyond strategy and beyond planning. And that I happen to think there is. And so now I'm just going to spend a few minutes talking about that, and I hope that it clears up, or at least presents my position on it. And I do think there is something, and the term I've used to discuss it, to help companies develop it, to help people understand it over the years has become vision. And vision takes on several meanings, but a vision is really something that's difficult. It's not exactly a dream, but it's almost the organizational equivalent thereof. What I mean to say is it's not a fantasy. It's got to be something that you can believe and that people within your organization and outside your organization get their heads around. But it has to be a big enough concept that it governs what you do, and in many ways it helps you understand what not to do. So it's not just this fuzzy concept of going out there and dreaming and sitting back and putting your feet up and saying, what do we want to be when we grow up? It's actually trying to articulate where you see the business being. What do you see as perhaps being its legacy? What do you perhaps see as being its, I don't even want to say mission, because I think mission is maybe a little subordinate to vision even, and missions are forms of strategies. So one of the things I will talk about for the next few minutes is this whole idea of vision. And yes, I think it goes beyond strategy. I think what I hope to show is that strategies are used to support the vision. And so vision being that big, I think the best way I can give it is to give some examples. And I just went out and looked because I think it's one we all encounter and see frequently, is some major corporations, and one I chose right away. Let's go look at Walmart. Let's see what their vision is. And their current statement of their vision is words to the effect of their vision is that they save people money no matter how they want to shop. That's their vision. That's what their business does. Saves you money no matter how you want to shop. Now, when you think about that, it's a pretty broad statement. It's a simple statement. Is it easy to do? It's got many levels. It doesn't have to do with just pricing. How do you save people money? Well, you offer them the products they want. What do you do to offer them the products they want? Well, you save them money. Well, maybe you have an aggressive buying strategy, a supply chain strategy. How do you save people money? Well, you keep them from having to go out of their way and spend money on gas and travel and all those kind of things to get to your retail outlets. So my positioning of my stores becomes a strategy, all right? Clearly, price is a strategy to Walmart. It's not a mission. It's a strategy to achieve that vision statement we just talked about. At one point in their existence, very early on, I'm told that Walmart's vision statement sounded maybe even a little more lofty, where it said Walmart wanted to tell the world that it was out there to help ordinary folks be able to afford things that only well-off people used to be able to afford. Well, how do you do that? You do that through a very complex and intertwined set of strategies that involve some of the factors I just talked about. And those strategies, then you need plans to execute those strategies. But that vision is very important. I look at my consulting days when I'm still involved in my old consulting firm to a small degree. And one of the things that we said that our vision statement, it's right out there for anybody to see, is that we are trusted advisors helping organizations to higher levels of achievement. Very simple, but very, very complex. Well, how do you become a trusted advisor? Well, you treat people fairly. You Treat them honestly. Sometimes you are the honest voice that tells them what they don't want to hear. You don't overprice your services. In fact, you over-deliver on the promises you make. You do lots of things. You act with the utmost integrity. That's if you are a trusted advisor. And you'll notice we don't say that we want to become, because then that leaves you a little bit of room to get out of it, doesn't it? Well, I'm not there yet, so I have to cut this corner or that. No, if we say we're trusted advisors, then a trusted advisor acts and behaves and does business in a certain way, and that's how you do it. So to me, vision is well beyond strategy. You support strategy, develop strategies to support your vision. The strength with which you've got a hold of vision is very important. And the example I love to give, and I've done this in talking to classes and into talking to executive groups and everything, something we can all imagine. Children can provide us great examples of a lot of things. So the one I choose to speak of here is, do you ever know a young child that wants to become a firefighter? We've probably all come across that, at least in our society. And so what do you notice about that child when they get the idea that they want to become a firefighter? Well, what do they hang on their wall in their room? Well, pictures of firemen. What do they play with? Toy fire trucks. What do they imagine themselves being? They imagine themselves being that first responder at the scene of a disaster. In an extreme case, maybe they run around the house or the yard lighting fires so they can go hose them down and put them out. It's that extreme. That's the belief that they have. In fact, if you go and ask that child, do you want to become a firefighter, what does he or she tell you? She looks at you in the eye and says, what do you mean, do I want to become a firefighter? I am a firefighter. That's the depth with which you believe your vision. Now, the difference between us and a child is, next week that child wants to be an astronaut. And the week after that, they want to be a race car driver. And the week after that, they want to be a nurse. And the week after that, they want to be a photographer. You see where I'm going with this. As adults and responsible business people, we don't have that luxury. We can't change our positions every week, and we can't change the vision that we have for our business, because that requires fundamental changes in strategy, which require fundamental changes in plans, which require fundamental changes in activity, and change of that frequency is disruptive, and it could destroy the business rather than build it. So we have to be very disciplined and come up with ways that we really carefully think this out. And that's what I mean about a vision. It's a process of strategic thought that lets us know the desired future condition of the business. Where do we want to see it in the long run? And by the long run, I don't mean just 5 years or 10 years. I'm talking about maybe 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years. It's that important and that difficult to do. Yes, it is that difficult to do. But it's the governing principles, and it's not just pie in the sky, and it's not just daydreaming. It's the first level of resource allocation, because not only, as I mentioned earlier, does it tell us what we have to do, but it also gives us some firm guidelines on what not to do. We don't do anything that doesn't make us a trusted advisor. Walmart doesn't do anything that makes it raise its prices. Those are the kind of behaviors we look at. So there are other things that come into this whole argument. We look at values, we look at strategies, we look at missions. Those are all subjects for another video, maybe even some advanced work in strategic thinking and strategic planning. But as I asked that question, I didn't think it was fair for me to not provide my answer. There we go. If you've got any questions, as you can probably tell, this is something I'd love to talk about. Thank you.